Greetings. Welcome to Relationships with Intention. We are so happy that you have joined us on tonight. I am your host, Shawan. Do us a favor, please like, share, follow, and engage throughout today's session. I am so excited about my special guest on this evening. I have Mallory Nicholson. Mallory is the wife of Noah Nicholson III and a recording artist, writer, minister, educator, and dedicated mother. I love that. She and her husband founded Noisy for God, an organization that believes in empowering Christians to be bold about their love for Jesus. Mallory strongly believes that unity in the body of Christ will be essential to the church's survival in the last day. Mallory states, God built me for this, and I am so excited. But at the end of the day, I'm simply determined to stand on the indelible truth of God's word. And I hope I can inspire other believers to fully commit to Jesus the Christ, even when it's unpopular. Noah Nicholson III is the husband of Mallory Nicholson. He is a preacher, producer, recording artist. And when I tell you they can sing, oh my goodness. He is also an entrepreneur and loving father, overwhelmed by a powerful passion for spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. Noah accepted the call to the ministry in 2015. Born and raised in Chicago, Noah grew up working in his father's church, the Family Worship Center of Chicago, Illinois. Noah currently serves in many capacities at his father-in-law's ministry, New Vision Church in Niles, Michigan. I've done everything in church from mopping the floors to directing the band. I just want God to get the glory out of every aspect of my life and keep my eyes on the mission. And the mission for all Christians is the same, to tell everyone we see that Jesus is the Christ and he is coming back and soon. Welcome to Relationships with Intention, Noah and Mallory. How are
Thank
you?
you. We're doing wonderful. Thank you for having us. Glad to be here.
Awesome. I am so happy you are able to join us on today. Our topic today is marriages. And did you know, according to the Centers for Disease Control, their data indicated from 2011 through 2015, it suggests that about 22% of first marriages end within the first 5 years due to divorce, separation, or death. And so this is one of the reasons why I developed Relationships with Intention to help individuals thrive during their singleness and marriages. With that being said, I formulated these questions and I'm going to start off asking some questions about singleness and what singles should look for. So Noah, I'm going to start with you. What should a single female look for in a mate?
All right, that's a good question. So I think that it's very, very important. I mean, obviously it's multifaceted. It's a lot of stuff you want to be looking for, but I think that a couple of the important things would be you want to really get a glimpse of that person's heart as soon as possible. So watching them from even from afar before even having more intentional conversation really, really helps. You can watch them, in church, how they participate, how they worship. You can watch how they interact with other people. When everybody is up on their feet clapping and worshiping and praising, what are they doing? They sitting there texting, scrolling, what they doing? Also, another thing that I think will really help you get a glimpse of that person's heart is paying attention to how they treat other people, how they love other people, how they treat people, especially people who you may consider less significant, like, I don't know, waiters, waitresses, how they treat someone on the street that might be asking for food or money or something like that. How do they treat those people? Do they openly show love to them? Do they show care? Do they show compassion? That'll help you get a real glimpse of a person's heart before you even get to invest it in that relationship with them. So I think that's very important. Just a couple of things that are very important for a woman to look for when looking at a man.
Mhm. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And then Mallory, how about you? What should a guy look for in a mate?
What should a guy look for?
Hmm.
Um, I think motherhood is important. I think a lot of times we may not consider what that person may be like when we have children, and that can cause a lot of conflict. And so I always believe in looking ahead, seeing
Yes.
if goals and dreams align in the long run. I think that a lot can be achieved when you're in marriage. So a lot of times we look for things to be a certain way before we get married, but sometimes a person needs a person to achieve those things. And if your goals and dreams align, you don't have to wait. You can get married and work together to achieve goals.
Yes.
So I think seeing if you guys have the same mindset in advance can be really helpful on lots of different topics. And I think making sure that your faith is aligned, that you believe the same. Again, that matters when you have children, and it's time to go to church, because that should really be the centerpiece. And it's something that you really should agree on early and kind of know, so that you're not thinking, oh, later on, because it really, people tend to be set in their ways. So it's good to just align in those futuristic ways early, and then save yourself the heartache. So yeah, I think just seeing if your long-term goals align in lots of different areas is helpful.
Yes. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Thank you for that. My next question, again, I'm going to start with you, Noah.
Okay?
Should the man approach a woman, or is it okay for a woman to approach a man?
That's a good one. I
Hmm.
think that in modern day society, you get a lot of more forward women, a lot of women who approach the man. But in my opinion, the man really should approach the woman. Personally, I never really liked a more forward woman. I think that you should give him an opportunity to pursue, give him an opportunity to show you that he's interested in you, that he wants to do whatever is necessary, whatever it takes to win your trust or win your heart. So I think it's important for the man to take that first step. I think it's a large statement. And I think that if the woman takes that first step, in a lot of cases, she may end up taking that first step in a lot of different areas in that relationship that could become a problem or an issue.
Ooh, wow, that's heavy. That's something I don't think a lot of women consider. If you
Mm-hmm.
take the lead initially,
Mm-hmm.
you might find yourself taking the lead on many things throughout the
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. What a powerful nugget.
And sometimes the man will get accustomed to. Sometimes a man that
Mm.
normally may have taken the lead can get accustomed to you taking the lead or comfortable with you taking the lead. And
Mhm.
I just say, a man's got to man up. But a lot of times, if she's more forward, then you can become comfortable just allowing her to sit in that seat. So
Wow. That's powerful. And that's something I don't think a lot of women take into consideration. Is it okay for a woman to show a man she's interested? And if so, what are some things that's okay to do?
um,
I think you have to be
yeah,
careful with that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you have to be careful, because I have friends that have done that, and it usually doesn't turn out very well.
Mhm.
Um, I think that you don't want you want to know that he's interested, and that,
First.
yeah, like you want to know that he's interested, and allowing him to take that first step, it gives you that, confirmation, that affirmation. I had a friend who later on, um the man that she was with, he said, something along the lines of, you pursued me, or like just something like that came out like later. And it's just like, I was like, you got to walk away, you got to walk away and then see if he comes back because then you'll never know. And you never want it, because that will continue throughout, the whole, if you get married, it'll stay there. It'll always be a question. Like, if I had never like went after you, like, would you be with me? Or like, like that kind of thing. So as a woman, I think you really need the peace of mind of knowing that he was interested. And you get that really when you allow him to approach you and make the first move.
And as a man, we do like to know that you're interested. All right, but there's a proper way to do it. You know what I mean?
It's subtle.
It's got to be subtle. My wife she definitely has that on lock. But it was good because, again, it allowed me to pursue, but then she was able to reciprocate subtly and help me to understand that, okay, she is interested, but it doesn't mean you're not going to have to work. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to show me that I'm the one that you desire, I'm the one that you want. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to pursue. And if she's too forward, then for someone like me, it would just be a turnoff. And for some other men, they may, you're forward, they may, entertain you, but because you were so forward in the beginning, you kind of diminished your value to him a little bit, because men, we like to pursue. So you kind of diminished your value a little bit in his eyes when you were a little bit too forward in the beginning. But once I've shown you how interested I am and I've really put that work in, then as a man, we do like for you to reciprocate a little bit and subtly give us some of those signals. Let us know, hey, I like this. I'm interested in this. I want to move a little bit more forward with this. And then, and I think it just helps for a better blend in the long run. Like she said.
I think as women, like, our work part is in the preparation that we do in ourselves and for ourselves, right? The way that we present ourselves is the work, right? And then it's really like his job to notice that and decide if that's something that is appealing to him. And then, and it just benefits you, because I think as women, like, you go through a lot of changes. We change a lot. Women do over the course of time. We go through lots of seasons and stages. And so it's just really nice to have, again, that confirmation of knowing that he was interested and he pursued, and it gives you, both of you, peace of mind in the long run.
Yes. So this question, either one of you can answer. What are some of those subtle things a single lady could do?
You can take that.
I think it's the preparation. It's the way that we present ourselves, taking the time to present ourselves in a way that is attractive. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Like, that's the part that we do. I think a lot of times we look at men in the dating season, and we look at, whether they pay the bills or whether they do all of these things and they kind of woo you, but our side of it is not spoken of very much. But I think just to be a woman, there's a lot of pieces that go along with that, regardless of what your style is or your, taste is. You put forth the effort to present yourself in a feminine way. And I think they respond to that. So I think even like your demeanor, working on yourself, right? A kind person, a welcoming and warm person. These are things that are subtle, but are also inviting and welcoming. And if you don't work on yourself, you don't heal from your past experiences. If you're not developing yourself spiritually and things like that, when he's looking for a wife who has those qualities and has those traits, he will not be able to choose you with peace of mind. And I think a lot of times we don't understand that when a man is in the mental space of looking for a wife, he does have things that he's searching for, and things like our attitude or, like that can turn them off and make them say, she's pretty, but, whatever, or, this isn't right and that's not right. And so I think as a woman, we have that preparation piece to do to make sure that we're in a good space. And so when they come to us, that is welcoming. They see things in you that you don't even realize that they see, but because you've been preparing yourself and working on yourself, you are welcoming, and you are appealing to him. And that's the invitation.
Mm-hmm. And you know, as a man, we notice that, we see that. So if I'm looking for wifey, I'm looking at how you present yourself. You know, I'm paying attention to that. Even like on you know, on your social media and stuff like that. I'm looking at, you know, when we come to church, I'm looking at the way that you're dressed. I'm looking at how you handle yourself, how you move, and who you're with, who you're hanging with, who you're talking to. I'm looking for that because we're, you know, men like all types of women, right? But we know what type of woman we're looking for. It's like, you know, you can sit amongst your guys in line, I don't know, 5 women up, and you know, you and your guys might say, oh, that's wifey right there. No, that's not wifey, that's wifey. Because there's a certain type of a thing that we're looking for. Like she said, that preparation, we can see that. So sometimes you present yourself, you know, me personally, you can dress a certain way, and it's like, well, I don't want my wife
Yeah,
to
you're
look like that.
attractive, but that's not what I would
You're attractive,
marry.
but I don't want to marry that because I don't want everybody else looking at all of that. That's for me to look at with my wife. So if you're showing everybody all of your stuff, then I don't, you know,
They'll look at it and they may even date you, but
Yeah.
when we're talking about getting married, it's a different checklist.
Yeah.
Just like we have a certain checklist, they do
Right.
too.
Yes, yes, that's so powerful. To know that you're even watching social media.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And I hear that come up a lot, and Noah has quite a few like guy friends, and so it's always interesting to hear their conversation and the way that they look at people's pages, and just like, look at her, you know, look at the kind of stuff she posts, or look how, you know, her stories. They notice a lot of the things that we don't even like. And it's interesting because you may think that, you know, that you're just doing a little bit, but it's like they pick up on, men are like, really, they pick up on whatever message you're putting out there, and
so
they
you taking your selfie a certain way for with trying to catch certain
they
angles.
know, they know what you want,
and it's like, okay, you know, I'm good.
and they don't. And so if someone is looking for a wife, they're not looking for that, because again, you thinking long term, you thinking family, you're thinking all of these things, and you're gonna reach for somebody who has a more wholesome appeal, someone who they don't feel like other men have, you know, experienced or been exposed to, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're very particular when it comes to who they marry. It's a different thing.
And for example, one thing we talk about a lot is, since we're talking about appearance, from a male's perspective, and again, this is my opinion, different men are different, but from a male's perspective, I always told her, when other men look at you, I want them to see a beautiful woman. I don't want them to think, oh, she's sexy. You know what I mean? I want them to think, oh, she's beautiful. She is gorgeous. So where does the man's mind shift when he sees you? That's what can help you to understand how you're presenting yourself. And if too many men are coming at you incorrectly, then that means that you're probably presenting yourself wrong. If, you know, I was just telling my daughter this the other day. If a young man comes to you and he's shy, he's nervous, he's stuttering, that's probably a good boy. When you got somebody that's swagged out, knows the line to say, know how to spit it right, that's probably the one you want to steer away from. So what type of men are you attracting?
And what are they saying?
What are they saying? How are they approaching you? That helps you to understand what you're giving off. Are they respectful, or are they just spitting?
What kind of comments are they leaving?
Right. Right.
It all tells.
Yeah.
And it tells a lot about what you're presenting as well. It's hard. It's a hard truth, but it's the truth anyhow.
It's the truth anyhow.
Because that shows how we perceive you as man based upon the way that you're presenting yourself. Now, you can be a wonderful wife, you know what I mean? But if you present yourself a certain way, we're never going to be able to see that or realize that, because we can't see past the way that you presented yourself.
That's so good. I could just stay on that and ask so many questions, but I know we gotta move on. But that is so rich there. Wow. Can you tell the singles some questions that are important to ask perhaps even before they go on the initial date with someone.
So this is like, I got your number. We
Yes,
talk on the phone. We haven't gone out yet.
yes.
You can take that one, babe.
I mean, I'm a believer in the Lord, and I know, listen, I'll never forget this old elderly man, been married many decades, him and his wife, and he said, he was like, you know, I've never raised a hand to my wife, I've never cheated on my wife, I've never done all these things. And he was a millionaire. He's gone on now, but he was a millionaire, so he had opportunities, you know, to do these things. And he said, it wasn't me that did it though. He was like, I didn't do it because, you know, of my relationship with my wife, but I did it because I feared the Lord. And, you know, that really resonated with me. When you get a man that loves the Lord, he holds himself accountable to God, and that goes beyond you. You know, we can't really ever be good enough. I think women, like, sometimes we're like, if we're, you know, pretty enough, or we're perfect enough, or we're this enough, or we're that enough. You see women that are all of those things and their relationships still fail. There's still issues that come up. But when there is a reverence to the Lord and we're committed to him, we honor his word and we try to live our lives to the caliber and have the character that he desires us to have, then it makes our relationships work. And it forces us to hold on, to endure, to be patient, to do all of these things that are needful for a marriage to be successful. And so I don't think we can really even like put a value on just how important it is for that person to have a relationship with God and to be saved, because that is going to be a determining factor in every aspect and in the success of your marriage. So that's where I wouldn't compromise. That's where it would be like, don't be saved for me, don't play for me. Like, is it real for you? Because that's what's going to keep your marriage.
So when you're having that conversation on the phone, those are the questions you should be asking. And I think we waste a lot of time, especially in the beginning of courtship, that first phone call. You know, you're talking about the moment I saw you, or how beautiful you were, you know, things that are not
right.
so
There's nothing
important.
wrong with that, but
but you got to be able to focus. If you're dating seriously and you're dating to marry, then you want to ask those serious questions sooner rather than later, because I don't want to waste your time any more than you want your time wasted, and I don't want my time wasted. Right. So when we get on the phone, the intent is to get to know each other, to learn about each other. So those questions, that's what I'm going to be asking you. I'm going to ask you about your faith. What do you believe? How serious is it to you? And then we can even weigh some of our beliefs, you know, because somebody might believe that you're supposed to be at church, you know, 5 days a week, and this person believes you go to church once every other week. Well, that can become an issue. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about faith. How important is God? Have the
open discussion.
Yeah. And so those are some of the initial conversations that you want to have, because you really want to dive into whatever is most important, whatever is most serious. Firstly, your faith, and then you can move forward into any other things that are really.
Because when that part is on lock, like, you can really, like,
you can matriculate through everything else.
Yeah.
When we're evenly yoked, we can move. Everything else easier. We can flow through everything else together.
That's right. That's right. All right. So, final question I'll ask for under singles is, how long should a woman wait before a guy proposes to her if they are courting?
That's a good one.
I've seen it work in all the ways. I've seen people get married really quickly and have like long-lasting marriages. I've seen people date a really long time and have a long-lasting marriage. Have a long-lasting, or have a short marriage. It's like, it really is like something that, again, and we always keep coming back to God, but that's just because, like, when you come back to him, it's like you get that peace. And I used to pray that the Lord would reveal things to me. And so, like, even as I was dating, and we had lots of ups and downs in our dating process. We really had to navigate a lot of things, and we're a blended family. So when I married him, he had children already. And so it was like trying to learn and be as wise as possible. And in doing that, you know, I think we dated like a year maybe before we got married. So I think just trying to be wise and trying to be wise. And I think, you know, did I just meet you? Are we circling back? Like, is this like, you know, do I already know you a little bit? Like, all of those things come into play when it comes into like marriage time. But I do think that people can like fall in love really quickly and get married and be successful. I think that's amazing when that happens. So,
and I'll just speak from a male's perspective. When you're dating, this is what I always say. I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I agree because
good. I know
I agree with what she's saying, because you can take a while and it still work, or it may not work, or you know, it could go any way.
Right.
But if I was advising my daughter, I would say men know when they want you, they know that they want you.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering if he wants you, he probably doesn't really, he's not ready.
Yeah,
yet.
we've all dated those people who like took a long time, and you're always confused. Like they would take a long time to like text you back or like just respond. And like all of those are like it was so different with him. He was just very clear. And later on, I found out he had my ring like 3 months in. But I had dated other people where it wasn't, and he had just been holding it, you know? And so it's like, you know, I've learned that too. Like men know, you know what I'm saying? They like, and if they're being like weird, like and distant and like hot and cold, they're probably still looking at other people. And that's the reason why you're not getting that consistency.
Or not ready for that real commitment. Because even if he's not looking at other people, he may not be ready for that commitment. So if you're somebody who's looking for someone to be committed in that way, and you're ready to be a wife and you want him to marry you, then you can look at his actions to determine. Because if I'm talking to my daughter, I'm gonna say, baby girl, if he been dating you this long and he don't know that he wants to marry you yet, then you might need to press pause or step back a little bit or something.
When they know, they know.
Because when men know,
and they usually know quickly.
We're gonna go after.
Or they just playing.
Yeah, and again, we pursue. So when we want you, you're gonna know. It's like we're gonna be all over you. Like, I want you to be my wife. I want to marry you. Let's go. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's they're gonna be practically begging you. Like you're gonna know that he's ready long before that ring.
And this is coming from someone again who had a lot of relationships. I'm talking about him. And he was the one that nobody catch. Like when I got ready to marry him, like, and everybody was like, "Oh, he ain't gonna get married." Like that's like what his like. They're like, he ain't gonna.
One lady actually told her, "I believe it when I see it." When we were engaged,
I had the ring and everything, and she was just like,
"I believe it when I see it."
Because that's how like he was. You just wow, and it was like no, he wasn't gonna be locked down, like period. And so it was like the first time for him that he was ever that like clear.
See, I knew probably 2 weeks in that I was gonna marry her. Like she said, I had a ring. I was ready. You know, I was just waiting. You know, let that time pass, but I was ready. I knew.
But he was buck wild before me, so that's why that was my point in saying that.
No,
a lot of people. We heard a lot.
Why? Because I believe God told you she is the one. So why were you waiting?
I guess I didn't really feel like I had to wait, but I guess it's just, you know, you want to build some more relationships, share a few more experiences, get to know each other a little bit more. Because although I may know like this the one, I'm definitely going to marry her. Right. You still want to be careful and cautious. You still don't want to just jump into it, because a lot of times when you in the beginning of the dating phases, you're in that euphoric state, right? Oh, everything's butterflies. And
let me stop you. I actually broke up with him, and I always like to tell this.
She did.
Because I feel like this also has something to do with
why I turned the heat up.
Yeah. So he was originally not as hot, like he wasn't as responsive and all of that as I felt like he should be. And I told him that we should just be friends, because we were friends before, and I was like, I don't want to mess it up. I feel like this isn't going to work. And so but then he was like all of a sudden really honest about his feelings, and was a completely different person post conversation. And so I want to say this: you have to value yourself as a woman
Mhm.
and not allow people to treat you just any kind of way.
Mhm.
You have to believe that you are worthy of the best treatment, and you have to believe that God has someone amazing in store for you. And so whether it's you or not, like, I don't know, but I know that I'm supposed to have someone amazing. And I think a lot of times as women, we will take a lot, from men because we may be fearful of being alone, or we may be fearful that if I don't jump on this, then blah, blah, blah. And so we're kind of like enduring things that we really should not be enduring. And so for me, it was that moment of like, I really like you. I could see myself with you and all of that, but I don't really like the way that you're responding. And so I'm going to make the best decision for me. And so it was amazing because I thought about it. I knew what I was about to say, and I was ready for whatever way that went. And it ended up being something that gave him the boldness, I guess, that he needed to,
peace.
Yeah, and the peace to make that move in a better way, reconsider, what he decided to do or whatever. But for me, I have an assurance of how he feels, and I've also set a standard for how I am going to be treated. And I think that's important.
Yeah, and in my defense, so the reason, because this is a male's perspective again in this situation, she pulled back. But remember, I knew that I wanted to marry her from the very beginning, but I wasn't 100% sure I still wasn't sure if that's what she wanted with me. So in that dating phase, I wasn't sure if she was looking at other suitors, if she was maybe going out with somebody else sometimes. So that's why I was a little bit reluctant, although I was like, this definitely wifey right here. I was still a little bit cautious because I wasn't sure how she honestly felt about me, because again, she's being cautious and not so forward as a woman because she's waiting for me to pursue. So we're waiting for these signals from each other, right? And then when she pulled back and said, I really like you, but I don't want to ruin the friendship that we've had all these years, so let's just stop. That kind of made me feel like, oh, she is really serious about this relationship. She does like me the way that I like her. So then I felt safe opening up and really pursuing her with my entire heart.
And he was really different
vulnerable.
after that.
Yeah, I became very vulnerable at that point, and I turned the heat up because I didn't want her to have any questions. I didn't want her to wonder any longer. I wanted her to know, I want you.
And that's what I was thinking as you guys were talking, that safety may have been a concern there. And do you think that was due to past relationships?
For me, it was, for sure.
And he had children.
Yeah.
And I think wanting to make right choices for them was like also a thing for him, obviously. And that was actually something that I was watching as well because he had children. I was like seeing his commitment to his children, seeing how intentional he was with them, and how consistent and how involved he was. And I saw that as a positive. It helped me to know, how he would be as a man because he did take care of his responsibilities. So pay attention to that if he has kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is so huge. That's one thing I teach ladies. If a guy has children and he's not a part of their life, that is a huge flag right there. So that's key. So him having the children really helped you feel safe.
It helped me to see his character. And that was important. It's interesting because he was the first person I ever dated with children. And so that wasn't really something that I thought I would have ever embarked upon, being a stepmom. And I really don't recommend it. I always tell him it's like it's hard. Like, I don't lie to people when it comes to talking about blended families. It is difficult, okay? Like, it is hard. You better, know that like when you're dating them, and have confidence before you jump into it. Because it is not for the faint of heart. But I do believe that him having children made him a more responsible person. He was someone who had his life in order, and the difficulties that he endured having children made him have like a lot of stuff that people in his age group didn't have because he was a father. And so being able to see him already walking in such just such responsibility and having his finances in order and being consistent in his career and things like that, that was what gave me assurance, because he was already on his feet without me. You know, he didn't so it was like he's already doing these things without me. And so that was something that I knew I could just be there and you know, I would just be a part of his life, but that stuff was already set on. And sometimes men don't have all of their pieces together like that. So that was actually an advantage. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate through that coming into marriage, a marriage where you're already a mom?
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. I think what I did, because I already had to have the kids be present, like from the beginning of my marriage, I just went ahead and had my kids because I was like, I'm not about to raise them and then start over. So I was like, if I'm gonna be here like watching kids all the time and going into this, I'm gonna just do everybody together. So I just started having children early, and that was very hard. Like it was very hard learning how to balance all of those things. But honestly, like it gave me grit. And I think that's valuable. Sometimes I laugh at people who, you know, like everything to be perfect, and they want everything to be perfect. I'm just like, that's the opposite of marriage. Marriage is ratchet. Like I'm like, you just gotta just get in it and you cry your tears and you lift your weights and you struggle and you learn how to balance and you fight and you do all of that and you come out on the other side really strong. And I think it ended up being an advantage. And now, you know, a lot of people, because I work in education and I deal with children, and I'm able to
a lot of blended families,
a lot of you know, just kids in difficult situations, difficult children. And I am not sensitive. They can call me, the students, like I used to tell, listen, you call me ugly. I'm like, you can call me whatever you want. I'm like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings, you know, and I'm gonna love you anyhow. But I got that grit, like through being a stepmom, like going through all of the ups and downs, and it made me, you know, be a stronger woman. And so and now people are always like, you're so strong, you're so resilient. But I think it was those tough experiences. So I wouldn't say it was easy, but I would say it was worth it. I would say that God worked a lot of things out of me through that season. I had to deal with myself a lot. I learned a lot about being humble. I learned a lot about selflessness, putting others in front of myself. And I learned a lot about staying committed and staying the course. And I've seen the benefit of that on the other side. I would not go change anything. Like for all of the hardship and all of the things that we went through, I feel like without it, I would not be who I am. So I am very thankful for those seasons, though they were hard.
Yes. So really and truly, those seasons prepared you for where you are now.
It's crazy. It's crazy because you can't see how going through something like that could matter. I was just telling him that. I'm like, in those seasons, was birthed my relationship with God. It was birthed in a deeper realm because I needed him to help me. I prayed in the spirit deeper. I didn't seek God like that before I went through that, and it stirred me up. And it was in that season that I went through a spiritual transformation that made me, had a large part to do with like everything that I do right now. And even like just the money management piece, like learning how to stretch financially now that I don't have to. I am a wonderful steward over our money, and we're able to, like, even though God has brought us into a new realm, like it's like that door didn't open until we mastered this. And I can clearly see like how habits that I learned in that season benefit me now. at school as a financial steward there, how to make resources stretch. Like I said, how to deal with like difficult situations and family situations, difficult students, like all of it, all of the things that I went through in that season absolutely prepared me for this season. Like I said, I would not be prepared otherwise. And it's amazing because I look back and I'm like, that is so crazy. I would have never known when I was folding laundry, on the floor, like, struggling. And God was teaching me, how to keep. I just did a full building sweep and I cleaned out and reorganized the building in like a month. I had like a month deadline and I cleaned out every classroom and flipped that whole space. And everybody was like, how did you do that? And it's like, I did it because we used to have to flip houses. We were moving so much because we were struggling in the early years of our marriage and our blended family. And I learned how to pack up and I learned how to unpack. I can do it like nobody's business. Everything that literally everything that we went through, nothing was for nothing.
Yeah.
Everything had a purpose. So when you think that,
things work together.
you think that it may be like just something that is unimportant. No, it's preparation and God is going to use every bit of it. Every bit of it, God is going to use.
Yeah. No matter how insignificant.
No matter how instant, being faithful over few, and he'll make you ruler over much. I've seen him do it.
Yeah. So let that encourage you. The things that you're going through now is going to be useful for whatever you may come into in the future or for someone else. That is so powerful. I'm going to change gears a little bit and ask a few questions about marriages. And this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I had a live about fatherlessness last week. And my question to you two is, how might fatherlessness impact marriages?
Oh man. I think you bring all of that into your marriage. I think
sometimes unintentionally you discover things about yourself that you don't even realize once you get into that marital relationship.
Yep. Whatever you've gone through, I think shows up in marriage. And you, like he said, you may not even realize that it's there. You may not realize the habits that you have or the coping mechanisms that you have. You may not realize
vulnerabilities,
the walls, like all of those things that you have created to protect yourself. Like that's all on the table once you get married, because you can't really be that way and be successful in marriage. It really requires you to bring down the walls and be completely open and transparent and trust the other person. When you try not to, like, it only hurts you. And so I think that not only fatherlessness, but even just like poor family relationships or communication issues or whatever it is that was in your house, like whatever that is that was in your house,
rears its ugly head.
It's coming out.
It's
coming out.
It locates you.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's again staying vertical, and once you see that in yourself and you're like, this, I know that this isn't healthy, like taking it to the Lord and asking him to help you so that you're not abusive or bringing that stuff into your marriage, because you will. You won't even realize that you're doing that, or the way that you're treating them is wrong. Once God reveals that to you, then it's something that you do have to work on with him.
Yes. Noah, how might a husband help his wife through fatherlessness?
So if we're thinking hypothetical, a wife who maybe didn't know her dad or have a dad or didn't have a good dad.
Correct.
I think that you have to really be, first of all, you have to be selfless. You have to be able to really see her, and you have to show compassion, show empathy, show an extreme amount of love and support. I think that because men and women are so different, we think differently a lot. Women think much deeper than we do. They think on a deeper level than we do. Men, we're very surface level, very practical. And sometimes that can cause a disconnect because we see something as so simple and silly, but she sees it as deep. You know what I mean? So I think that we have to really learn to remove ourselves and really try to put ourselves in their shoes in a sense, and really seek to understand them, seek to understand how they're feeling. In so many cases, we try to provide a solution, but she's like, I'm not asking for a solution. I'm just asking for you to hear me. I want you to see me. I want you to understand what I'm feeling and cater to that emotion and that feeling that I'm experiencing right now. So I think that's really all you can really do is just be selfless and cater to her on a level where you're really tending to her needs and her emotions, and supporting her, making sure she feels secure with you and safe with you. Because a lot of times when you didn't have a father, you may have abandonment problems, or you may have security issues, or you feel like you can't trust anybody. So you understand that about her, and that as you experience relationship with one another, you do start learning different things that triggers her. Or, oh, don't say this to her because it affects her in this way. So as you have that relationship, you learn how to cater to one another. And so so I think it's just important really to cater to her emotionally, more than anything else.
But to her, I would say that she has to work on herself. And I think sometimes when we get married, we want our spouse to fill voids that only God can fill. And that's something that I had to learn. And I think, that's the beauty of the single season. It's like you really can work on that, because it doesn't go away like just because you get married. Like that's still going to be there. It's like you still
and then you don't want to have to rely on the husband to feel that.
He can't do it for you. He can't. And again, it can be a lot of different things that we carry and that we come in and we think that they need to do it. It's like, but they can't. They can never be that person. They can never fill that void. And so we have to find peace and find healing, and there's a work that has to be done in each of us in order for us to be a good spouse. So not putting that burden on them, but learning how to deal with those things and getting the help that we need is important too.
That's awesome. Thank you. My next question is, what should a wife do if her husband no longer communicates with her or show her affection?
I think, again, looking why? Okay. And I know it's like I said, listen, it's the ugly truth. It's true anyhow. Like if he is not coming to you and communicating with you, you have to look at yourself first. Like, we're like, why won't you talk to me? And you, but it's like, is that the energy like that you're giving? Like, that's why he doesn't want to talk to you. Like, and because you always going off and your tone is wrong. It's like, maybe you need to practice creating a welcoming, safe space. I had to learn that. I had to learn how to be quiet.
I call it learning how to finesse your man.
Yes, that's what he calls it. And I call it learning how to be quiet. Because it's a lot of times where you're like, you're like, you want to say shady stuff and you want to.
All that's gonna do is make him do this.
Yeah, he either gonna go like that or he gonna go out the door and he's not gonna talk to you. And so if you want him to talk to you, like, you have to create a safe space for that person to want to talk to you. And a lot of the time that means, being careful with the words that you speak. Just because he's married to you and he's in the house with you doesn't mean that, he has to listen to you in that way. That's earned. Like, that level of respect and intimacy is something that is earned. And I think we know through a lot of marriages where they don't have that level of intimacy and friendship, it's because, they haven't taken the time to put forth that effort. So you have to be a friend. You have to be a listening ear with no judgment. You have to be a cheerleader when you know that he's making wrong choices and you like, that ain't gonna work, but I got your back. It's like, okay, I believe in you. Like, even though I think it's dumb, like, I believe in you. You got this. You may think it's dumb, but you can't say that. You have to choose your words wisely, and you have to say, I believe in you. And once you do that, and they know that you have their back, you build that trust, and then they will be more conversational. So if he's not communicating, look at the way that you're talking to him and look at the environment that you create. And you're probably not an easy person to talk to, and that's why he's not talking to you.
And then and like you said, it establishes trust when you speak to him in that way, because especially in the beginning of the relationship, you're still learning to trust each other. You haven't truly become one in jail. That's one yet.
Yeah, men
And
take a while
yeah,
to get to do
for me
that.
personally,
Lord
I
have
had to
mercy.
learn the value. I had to learn the value of listening to my wife, and because I didn't communicate in that way. You know what I mean? I walked around like I'm the man, you know, and then the way that she spoke to me and the way that she handled me helped me to trust her and learn that, you know, it's okay. It's
I'm not
okay.
against you.
Yeah.
I'm for you.
Especially with having a blended family, because you come in the door feeling like you got to defend the kids. You got to,
Yes.
you know, but she showed me, I learned that this is a safe space. This is home. This is home. So you know, I can communicate with her on that level. I can trust her. I can confide in her, and I can listen and receive her advice, because in a lot of cases, she's giving the wisdom. You know, I come to her, even things about my business. I'm calling her, hey, what do you think I should do about this? How do you think I should handle this situation?
I'm like, you got this. But it wasn't always like that.
Mhm.
Like, it was like he said before, you know, he wasn't sharing. And so I've been through that. And like I said, I had to examine myself and learn how to bridle my tongue and be a friend instead of being, you know, showing all my frustrations with all of this. You know, I had to learn how to be quiet. And then that helped him to trust me and talk more, because I was talking less. And I think that's usually our issue. It's like we just do it too much.
That's powerful. How might a couple manage suffering and stress in their marriage?
It's inevitable. I don't think there's any like blueprint. I think, again, when you're both in relationship with God or connected to God, he can bear a lot of the burden, and it helps because you can take it to the Lord. Y'all can pray together. You can lay it on him instead of looking at each other and expecting each other to fill God-sized voids. In those seasons that are hard, we really have to lean on God, and we can do that together. When you try to lean on the other person may break from the weight of that. And I think that's why it's important. And a lot of people do. They go through the storm and they crack up. You know, they go through storms and they put so much pressure on one another. Or they grow apart. You know, they stop. Like, all of that. It's because they have ridiculous expectations instead of being able to comfort one another. You know, they have these crazy expectations of what this other person. And I really don't believe that. I'm like really big on like giving God the weight of our situation so that I can be mama without the drama. I can be your wife, you know, without the strife. Come on now. It's like you
I love it. I love it.
Honestly though, like, you know, because life is hard. Life is stressful. Like, you go through some crazy stuff, man. And it's like, you know, being able to give it to God, when you get up and you're lighter, you can just be the person that you need to be. And so when you're going through tough times, like, give it to God. Don't give it to them, and don't expect them to carry all of that. That's too heavy.
Yes. Noah, did you have anything to add with that one?
Yeah, I agree. You got to give it to God, because marriage is so, you know, marriage is already going to be stressful. I think another thing you can do too is make sure that, again, you stay centered together and you keep God first within the relationship, but also you have to be careful of the exterior noise that's coming into the relationship, because as things get stressful, there'll also be a lot of people's opinions about why it's stressful.
Why your car getting repossessed?
Whose fault is it?
He ain't
and although some of that may be, it's still not fruitful and beneficial to the relationship.
Right.
And then another thing too is, because relationships are so stressful, you really have to be very careful about idolizing other couples and what they're posting on social media and stuff like that, because 80% of what you're seeing on social media is not even what the actual truth is. So you're looking at your financial state of your marriage, and you're looking over there at somebody who is taking a picture in a Bentley, but you don't realize they rented that Bentley for that picture. You know what I mean? Like, and now you're comparing your spouse, you know, their job to somebody else's job, or whatever. You're comparing your relationship to somebody else's relationship, but really you have to be, if you just invest in your relationship, learn how to make it better, learn how to move through those spaces together and really become best friends. Because when you're best friends, you can handle any level of stress. You can bear that weight together.
And I think the stress makes you best friends, to be honest.
That's
Like, I
true.
feel like when we went through our struggle seasons, like that's when
it pulled us closer together.
Yeah, that's when we became close. And we've been through some struggle seasons. And it's like those are the moments that I feel like bonded us. And I feel like with sickness, and
hardship.
Hard times, like in our families, like those are the moments where I realized that, you know, he was someone that was a godsend, and I had gratitude, and I didn't have all that, you know, before going through the hard times and being able to see him support me through that. So I think, you know, there's beauty after the rain. So endure the storm.
Yeah.
Yes. How might a couple reignite the spark if they've lost it?
I would say for us, we've been married 12 years this year, and
the spark never left.
I think
praise God. Praise God.
I think
praise God.
There was some sparkless moments, maybe.
Yeah, it was rain. Rain puts out fires. And so I think, it's like after the rain. And so I think if you're going through a season, knowing that it's just a season, right? And like not making permanent decisions in a temporary space.
Yeah.
It's like, just hold on. Seasons change. And so there's times when life is really stressful and work is pulling us apart. You know what I'm saying? There's times when things, you know, but you come back together again eventually. It's like you just have to remember that seasons change, and don't get too caught up in what other people are saying a normal relationship should be like. Oh, you're supposed to stay hot and spicy all the time. Like, that's not realistic. Realistically speaking, you go through seasons.
And TV makes it look like it's supposed to.
They do. And that's all, like he said, that's all that outside noise. Like, the real is like, you know, you go through rough patches and that's normal. And then you go through awesome seasons and that's great. And it just cycles through, because it's a long-term relationship, and it's just going to keep going through cycles. So I would just say, like, if you're in a season where the light is flickering, that's okay. Don't be discouraged. Like, just stay consistent, stay connected, and then seasons will change, because a lot of times it's something there like financial stress or health stress or something like that that's you're going through that is making your relationship feel like it's not all that. And like he said, stay off of people's pages and comparing yourself, because they're not always honest about, you know, what's actually happening in the relationship. So,
and I think too, just remaining honest and open and vulnerable to one another, because sometimes that light's flickering, but all we got to do is just kind of just talk about it. Sometimes we're creating a flicker and we don't even realize it. I did it. I created so many flickers and didn't even realize I was creating it. I thought I was, you know, I had this attitude that
So you're saying if you feel like if you're not feeling
fulfilled, or you feel like
share
something's
that
off,
with the
or you
other
feel
person.
like you feel like the fire's not there, we're not, you know, burning for each other like we used to, or whatever.
Draw attention to that.
Let's talk about it. Let's come together. Let's discuss it. What is creating this vibe in our relationship? Because like I said, I was creating that. I was pushing my wife away and didn't realize it. And a lot of the things that were going wrong, I was blaming her for it. And then God really just had to show me myself and show me that actually you're creating these flickers, brother. All you got to do is do this and this and this and this. Change the way you talk, change the way you move, be more accountable and all that kind of stuff. And then the fire was burning more. You know what I mean? So I tell men a lot of the times that, listen, man, whatever's going on in your relationship, you know, God is holding you accountable. If it goes bad, it's your fault. If it's going good, it's your fault.
Yeah, we all have to take ownership.
Yeah, we have to take ownership. And I believe that I can, if I see something's missing, she needs something, I have to let my pride down, my walls down. I got to be open and vulnerable and transparent. As many times we know how to correct an issue in our marriage, but we choose not to do what we know we should do to correct it.
Wow.
And a lot of times it can just be pride or ego for a man. Or, sometimes it's like, I just don't want you to be right about this thing. I want to be right. I'm right. But sometimes it don't matter who's right.
Right.
Just reconcile, humble yourself, apologize. There's going to be a lot of times you have to apologize where you don't feel like you owe anybody an apology. Just say, I'm sorry because I love you, So I think that that's important too. And that's really how you get those flames back flickering, because you just have to be honest. You have to be open. You have to humble yourself and take the necessary steps, make intentional moves to reconcile whatever the problem is that's calling that flicker.
That's right.
Causing
I think is what matters is what is right.
Not who is
right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got lost here in my next question. Oh, do you think it's important to continually date your spouse?
Oh yeah. You got to.
I'm so dry. Like, I'm telling you, like, I know this is the time of, like, pictures and like we're going to brunch. I'm gonna just tell you, like, our lives sometimes are so ratchet. I'm like, man, like, we ain't been on a date in so long. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we make time in, I think, and this is what I would say. I would say make daily moments special is like more of the vibe, right?
Yeah, because we don't have like a whole lot of date nights.
Because you might not be able to pull that off, especially if you have kids.
But
just being real,
we do everything together. So I think
we make life.
Now, if you and your spouse, now again, that's a personality thing.
Yeah,
you and your spouse, you might like going downtown, hopping in a limousine, and going out to the.
And you may have the means to do it, the babysitter to do it, and all of that.
Yeah. So whatever works for you all is what you want to do. But for us, it's all about quality time.
Yeah, because
I can be at Cracker Barrel, I can be at Roots Chris.
Yeah.
As long as I'm with her.
He cooks pot roast and me and all, I get to sit down. Like, it's like, that's what I'm saying. Love languages, that's where all that stuff comes into play. Like, when you're talking about, like, date night. It's like, that may not do it for me.
What is date night?
What may do it for me is you bringing me my favorite Starbucks drink to work. Thank you. Like, that makes me feel special, and I couldn't get that on my own. And so I think just learning each other and then trying to do those things that are special. And I think
it's quality time for us.
It really is
quality time. We do everything together. We spend as little time apart as we
we'll cross over our jobs because we're busy.
Yeah.
So he may just come in my building and just go in the corner with his computer and work, but he's there. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, or like if he helps me by doing the dishes or something like that, that is so meaningful to me because he doesn't have time for that, and neither do I. But just thank you, because that was worrying me. So I think like, getting that fulfillment of like, of what we are making us feel good about one another and happy, that joy that you have in the dating season, it looks different when you get married. But it's like knowing your spouse and being able to kind of cater to them in whatever way is helpful.
Now, don't miss me. I still like to see my wife looking good, dressed up. You know what I mean? We throw some heels on. I want to take her to a nice restaurant. We travel a lot.
Yeah.
So we're always.
Yeah, I would say stay cute.
Yeah. That's
like
important.
All the time. Right. Like all the time we stay cute. That.
Yes.
I don't want you to not be able to see me anymore. So it's like I do, but again, that's me loving him. So it's like, because I love him, like I do a little more than I'd be doing if it wasn't married to him. Like not less, which is what is a tendency once you get married, you have kids. But because I love him, I put forth the effort in my appearance. Like I that's the dating, like I did when we were dating, like how intentional I was with my look then. I was very careful then, and I'm still careful now. And I try to make it where he's happy to be with me and he feels fulfilled in me, and that he still sees that me in me now, even though we're it's years later.
Okay. I'm going to ask 2 more questions and then we'll end it. There were questions that I did not ask you, so I know I'm going to have you come on for a part 2.
Let's do it.
All right. So my next question is, if you have a spouse who no longer wants to be intimate, what could the spouse do?
And that, I think that goes back to that initial attraction. Remember, I was saying you want him to pursue you so that you have affirmation that he is attracted to you. That's what I mean. So it's like later on that may rear its ugly head, where you may feel like he kind of settled to be with you or whatever. You don't want that heat. Like, let him come for you, let him pursue you, let him show you that he's attracted to you. So if you know that he's attracted to you, and you're in your marriage, and then the intimacy is changing, I think, again, that hard truth of like, have I changed? You know, have I changed? And we all are going to change, but I do think that, you know, you owe your spouse, you owe them taking care of your temple and your body. Like, I think we owe them that, because our bodies belong to them. Biblically speaking, it's our due diligence. And so it's I think if the person loves you, they don't expect you to be perfect. They don't see all of that. They don't care like on that deep level. But I think if you go too far, it can affect your intimacy. And it can also affect the way you feel about yourself, which will affect your intimacy. Because you'll be all like, you know, just self-conscious, and you'll be bringing that into the bedroom, and then he's responding to that. So I think we have to like also make a space for open conversation where you can say, hey, like, you can be honest with me. Brace yourself, you know, you can be honest with me, like what is it, you know what I mean? And then listening to what they're saying. But those are the hard things that do happen in marriage. But I think if you have trust there, you can have an open conversation about it. And I think you have to have an open mind to be willing to listen when they speak too.
I think it's I think that also is another male versus female style of a question, because when you talk about being attracted to your spouse, it's different for a man than it is for a woman. Because again, we're very surface level.
Yeah, we're emotional. We can be attracted to them regardless of how they look.
Right. But with us, men are visual. You know what I mean? So I can be mad at you, but when I see you walking around the house, it's going to do something to me. But you can be mad at me, and it don't matter how many muscles I got or whatever you like. If you mad
on my nerve, you can keep it
yeah, you don't care. Because women, again,
you are not
more,
cute.
You're
right.
You're more of an emotional person. You're more of a deep thinker. So, you know, there has to be some sort of resolution to whatever is causing the causing you to be unattracted to this person. So I think depending on who's got the problem, that's kind of how you want to handle that. So if I feel like she's not attracted to me, I know I'm gonna have to cater to her. What, you know, we talking about those 5 love languages, you know, what is her love language? What does she care about? You know, what makes her feel special and important and valued? What makes her feel safe? You know what I mean? What makes her feel okay being vulnerable? That's what's gonna reestablish that attraction and that connection. But like she said, if a man is saying he's unattracted to his spouse, all she probably really got to do is stop wearing that bonnet around the house and do her hair and put a little bit of makeup on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever whatever knows he likes, because men we're visual, but
never argue with the bonnet on. Let me give you a piece of wisdom, women. If you want to win the fight, take the bonnet off. Don't fight with a bonnet. It make it real easy for him to act up. Take that bonnet off. Be cute when you fight.
Right. I think I'm gonna have to do a live just on bonnets alone, and encourage our ladies, please do not wear your bonnets.
Listen, if you're looking good, you can do whatever you want him to do.
Men it's really not that hard. I'm just trying to say, like, take that bonnet off, put some lip gloss on before you get to tell him how you feel.
As long as you don't challenge his ego and you looking, you that's it. That's it for us.
And do not come to him with masculine energy.
That's what it really is. That's what it really is. Because even when you're looking rough, that's giving masculine energy.
Yes.
it.
So what can we expect from the both of you in the future?
Wow. You know, we're working on music.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yes.
Currently. And that was something that we had kind of put down for our
Yeah.
careers. And so we're both working on that, and we're both hustling
Mhm.
in our communities. We both have like a love for grassroots ministry,
Mhm.
local ministry. Like I
Yeah.
love like dealing with people that I can touch and love
Yes.
and be impart and be a blessing to, and he
Mhm.
does too. And so we do a lot like at home. Like he works with people like in a very hands-on way in South Bend with his company, and he's passionate about it, and I'm passionate about pouring in the community that God has placed me in. So I mean, honestly, if I were to say to what to look out for us, I would say just with Spick and Span expanding and seeing him do more work. And he has 2 locations now, and he's building in 2 cities. And for me, I would say look out for crazy, incredible testimonies of what God is doing in my students' lives, and what God is doing in Benton Harbor, and how he's blessing these children and these families, because we have great vision for being a blessing in our community. So that's kind of where we're pouring right now.
Yes, that is amazing. And this just came to me. Could you please, please, please sing us a verse before we end?
Lord,
Anything you would like to.
man.
You gotta take the lead on this, and I'll just follow
Oh man.
anything. I don't really care.
Um, I lift my hands in total adoration unto you. You reign on the throne, for you are God and God alone. Because of you, my cloudy days are gone. I can sing to you this song, and I just want to say that I love you more than anything.
Keep going out, and I'll catch you.
I love you, Jesus.
Yeah.
I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so, so much.
Thank
I
No,
you.
thank
really have
you.
This is
enjoyed you
fun.
too. Thank you.
I love the title, relationships with intention. Like that is everything. Every time the Lord brought that word intentionality out, I just thought about the name of your show.
Yeah.
You blessing people to be able to have the tools they need so we can stop making so many silly mistakes and be able to be more wise. You're
Yeah.
spreading information and knowledge. Like this show, like I wish I had this.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I definitely support, be tuning in. It's everything. So thank you for what you do. And we are so humbled to be on here tonight.
Thank you
Amen.
so much.
Amazing.
Thank you all for joining me on tonight. Please, please, please join me again next Sunday at 7 p.m. I'm going to have a very special guest, and we're going to do more talking about blended families. Have an amazing week.
Bye.